we have a new section that we're going to do. This is going to be for the Unit 2 test. Now, Unit 2 is going to be all about graphing. And it's not like the graphing that we were doing when we were doing on a number line. We are going to be doing graphing on what we call a rectangular coordinate system. So 3.1, really there's only definitional stuff. There's nothing on the test that is directed on to just 3.1. So this is just going to be information. There is going to be no sample questions on this section. So let's first talk about what a rectangular coordinate system is. A rectangular coordinate system is basically two number lines. We're used to the one number line. When we were graphing inequalities, we had a number line. We said usually somewhere in the middle, not always, but usually in the middle, we have a 0. We know when we go out to the right-hand side, we're going to go bigger into positive territory. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth. This represented positive infinity because it could go on forever, 5, 6, 7, 8. Going into the left direction, we can just have negative numbers. Okay? And again, even though the arrowhead's here, this goes on forever. So this we said was negative infinity. So we're used to this number line. But a rectangular coordinate system is where we're going to have not only one line that's horizontal, we call this a special name. We call this the x-axis. But we're going to have a second number line. Now this second number line is going to not go horizontal, but vertical. Vertical just means up and down. Where this line is going to intersect is right at the 0. So we have a line going horizontal, and now we have a line going vertical. And just like this was a number line, we're going to turn this into a number line. So where the x-axis and this new line intersect, this would be 0. And then as I go above, think of it like a thermometer. When you look outside, the temperature gets hotter. So it gets positive in this direction. Okay, so we can say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, forever. And then as we get colder, we're going to go below 0. So we're going to get negative. Colder and colder forever. And this will be negative infinity. Now this up and down line, we give it a special name. Piggyback off of this x-axis, we're going to call this the y-axis. So we have an x-axis that goes this direction, y-axis goes up and down. Now, we call this a rectangular coordinate system because it kind of looks like a rectangle. Right? Some people call it or Cartesian set. So if you ever hear Cartesian system or coordinate system, they all mean the same. What this rectangular coordinate system has been broken up into 4 corners. So you can see you have this corner, which is separate from this corner, which is separate from this corner, and separate from this corner. Each corner, we call it a quadrant. And each quadrant has their own number. So anytime I said quadrant 1, we're going to always talk about this corner that is upper right-hand side. Now, we're going to number this not going clockwise, but counterclockwise. And also, we're going to use Roman numerals, not plain ordinal numbers. So here we have 1, Roman numeral 2. This is Roman numeral 3. And this is Roman numeral 4. It's tradition to use Roman numbers because Rene Descartes created this back in Roman times. So what we're going to do is, let's explain what each of these quadrants do. This quadrant has both an x and a y that's positive. So to represent a point, we use parentheses. And the parentheses is going to have a comma. The first spot is going to be your x. Your second spot is going to be your y. So when you have a rectangular coordinate system, a coordinate or a point or ordered pair will have an x and a y value. Okay? As an x and a y value. When you have this, we said that anything in this quadrant, the x is positive because the x values are positive here, and anything here, the y value is going to be positive. When you're in this quadrant, notice your x values, remember x-axis, will be negative, and your y values here will be negative. So you'll have a negative, negative. So this corner, positive, positive. This corner, negative, negative. This corner, notice your x's, remember x always goes first, is negative, and your y's are positive. And this corner, you're going to have positives for your x, but negatives for your y's. So you can see each corner has a distinct looking ordered pair. 2 pluses here, minus plus here, 2 minuses here, and a plus minus here. That will help us when we actually get to graphing points. Because if I know I have 2 values that are positive, I know it's going to be found in this upper corner. If I have an x value and a y value that are both negatives, then I know it's going to be down here. Okay? Now, this point in the middle, where the x and the y intersect, that has a special name. This is known as the origin. Right? It has the value 0, 0. If you recall, 0 is not really a positive number, it's not really a negative number. Okay? So this is an origin. Any point that's on this axis line doesn't actually belong in quadrant 2 or 1 or 4 or 3. We call them intercepts because they basically straddle between 2. So if you have something on, let me get a different color. If you have a point that is on the x-axis, then this, because it's technically not in quadrant 2 and not in quadrant 4, we give these points a special name. They're called intercepts. Now this one, because it's on the x-axis, we call it x-intercept. If I have something on this, let's say here, since it's on the y-axis, we'll call this the y-intercept. So to recap, coordinate system for us, a rectangular coordinate system, is made up of 2 number lines. One number line that we're traditionally used to, the horizontal one, we call it x-axis. Now we're adding a second number line that goes right on top of 0 that is known as the y-axis. When these two are together, it breaks up the system into 4 corners or quadrants. This one's always plus plus, this one's minus minus, and then these are opposite of each other. Minus plus, then plus minus. Remember when you have a coordinate or a point, you need to have an x value and a y value. So this minus means x is a negative number and y is a negative number. There are certain points that fall on the axis. If it falls on just an x-axis, we call it x-intercept. If it falls on just the y-axis, it's the y-intercept. And if it falls both on the x and y, right here in the middle, we give it a special name as origin. In the next video, we're going to show you how to plot points.